Welcome back to day 5 of our honeymoon cruise. Today we had actually a pretty early port of call in Mykonos. We were supposed to be pulling in around 7, and so I think we were off the boat by like 7:30, but it gave us enough time just to enjoy some coffee out on our balcony prior to disembarking. And I am just so thankful because since we got into port early, we were able to explore a lot of Mykonos, especially the old windmills that are obviously no longer in use, but we were able to go to the windmills without anyone else around us because the other cruise ships weren't pulling in until around 10 or so. So it's definitely my biggest key tip is if you can get to Mykonos early or stay late past when all the cruise ships come in, you're going to have a much more enjoyable experience because when we were having lunch, this hillside where the windmills sit was absolutely just flooded with tourists. So it's nice to have it a little bit more relaxed compared to what it's normally like. From the windmills, we ventured on over to Little Venice, which is where you see all of these buildings that have balconies attached to them out over the water pouring in, and where you have quite a few restaurants right over the bay. However, this is also the place where you will see Petro, the pelican. Quite frankly, I didn't know that the pelican was this large. I had heard of him prior to going, and it was very special to get to see him, but it kind of took my breath away to see how huge he was. He was less than a foot from our table while we were having lunch. And then, following our time in Little Venice, we ended up exploring the Kora, which is just the main town of Mykonos, for quite a while. It's one of the best things I feel like you can do, is just to go get lost in all of the streets. And then we kind of ended up venturing over to some of the lesser known sides of Mykonos. It felt like a lot of the local areas. We found one of the schools and an amphitheater and even a few playgrounds and nurseries and things like that. One of the big highlights and things to do here in Mykonos, though, is obviously all of the beaches. And so if you have the opportunity to do so, feel free to explore outside of more than just the main town of Mykonos and go spend some time at one of the many lovely beaches that there are surrounding it. Around noon or so was when a lot of the cruise ship passengers seemed to be bombarding most of the streets. And so we kind of took a break since we were actually in port for close to 12 hours and took a little siesta back at our cruise ship for a few hours while all the tourists died down, and came back out for a late afternoon snack and just stroll around the city, as well as a very lovely coffee break with one of the coffee shops in town that has some outdoor seating set up on some of the stairs and a terrace. And so truly one of the ways I love to explore new places is through their food. And let me tell you, Greek food is something special to my heart. I loved getting a gyro and everything else that we had there. So if you have the time to, or you also are a foodie like us, feel free to spend quite a lot of your time exploring a lot of the local eateries and the coffee shops as well. We ended up heading back over to the cruise ship around 6 or so and catching the tender over as the boat was leaving around 7. And honestly, I kind of wish I would have found a way to spend more time out on the water. There were quite a few tourist excursions where they took you out on these pirate ships and other more ancient looking style sailing vessels, I would say. And it seemed like a lot of fun if you were into like the huge party crowd. But honestly, if you could just find a way to get out and just be in the middle of the water, more relaxed, all by yourself, that would have been very idyllic in my mind. But anyways, we ended up spending the rest of our evening enjoying our balcony view yet again, just because we had it, might as well enjoy it. And it was so beautiful just to watch as we pulled away from Mykonos and all the other Greek islands as we passed by. We were truly even out there long enough to enjoy the sunset prior to heading over to the bar to grab a drink and then back to our balcony yet again for some more stunning views before we ended up having one of our specialty dinners on board the cruise ship.